My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders.
These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line.
This is going to be a live trading video. Here locking in over $1,000 on this trade.
Wow, I'd love to get in on this.
Technical insights that really look good to me.
Here we go. We're live. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for being here. Today is a crazy day in the markets. Hope everyone is doing well. I'm just making some adjustments on the YouTube side of things just to make sure everything is running smoothly. Thanks, everybody, for being here. We got a bunch of people already in the chat hanging out with us here live, so thank you for being here. So we just had a huge move on the dollar. So I'm going to talk about that today for sure. We're going to talk about setups. We're going to talk about what I've got going on. You guys may have seen my trade yesterday that I talked about, which is dollar yen. So we're going to talk all about it. But today you can see here's the dollar index where we've got to start today. The dollar index just launching higher today off of the news of high CPI numbers. In fact, if you're sitting here and you're confused and you're like, what the heck is going on? Let's go look at the numbers really quick. Let's just decipher this. You guys know I've been long biased on the dollar, so today is a really good day for my trading. I'm not complaining. I'm happy with it. It's been a minute since I've had a really good day, so you know it's always a nice one to take a winner for the day. So check this out. With the dollar, let's go over to Forex Factory really quick. I want to show you guys this. So here was the groundbreaking numbers that came out from today's CPI figures. So we had a forecasted CPI number of 0.5% month over month. So what that means is that, okay, they are expecting inflation to be at 0.5% for the month. Now, if that is higher than that, wouldn't that devalue the currency? Wouldn't that be bad for the dollar? Well, I'm going to try and explain that really quick for those who are a little bit confused. But basically what happened is that we had higher than forecasted CPI numbers, which measures inflation, right? So we had high inflation, which was positive for the dollar. I know that's very confusing for new traders. It was for me. But the reason here for this is because when you have higher inflation figures, what that means is that, oh, the Fed's got to do something about that, which means they may look to raise rates or confirm that they're going to raise rates, sooner, right? So high inflation figures are usually considered positive because it means, hey, we could see some really, hard responses from the Fed here. So the Fed could be prompted to do something more about this, maybe, start to taper more aggressively or even look to raise rates sooner. That's the whole idea behind high inflation figures being dollar positive. So not only did we have higher than forecasted, we went from 0.5 all the way jumping to 0.9 as the actual figure. So a really big spike there on inflation there for the dollar, which is, like I said, considered very positive because it has implications on monetary policy. So the dollar here just launched into space and moved significantly here in just a few minutes against multiple pairs. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk about let me take a look at some of the different individual currency crosses with the dollar, and we'll talk about where this thing could be going, what to think about with the dollar. So you already know I am dollar positive. I've been sort of aggressively saying that out loud on my streams and on my channel. I'm not going to sit here and pat myself on the back for being right because there are plenty of times where I'm wrong, but it is cool to see something that, this was sort of the analysis. This was the idea that the Fed had talked about seeing the figures and that, that recent dip that we saw in response to the Asian markets selling off and a little bit of hesitation from the Fed. This sort of is a reassuring thing for dollar bullishness because, hey, this is more of a, hey, you've got inflation to deal with. That could be a more of a thorn in the side of the Fed to raise rates. At least that's the way I understand it. And that's the idea that I have here with the dollar going forward. So, so check this out. The dollar coming in here where we currently sit is already at a battleground after that major spike. We are sitting at a level of resistance. Now, personally, when I look at a resistance level like this, I would say that this is like a weak or loose resistance level because you are in the context of a very strong upward trend here. You can see here's the DXY. We zoom out a little bit. You can see higher lows and higher highs coming in on this market pretty consistently, right? So my view of the dollar here is that this is a weak level of resistance. I would not go trusting this personally. Of course, if you're dollar bearish and you have a reason to be so, and you have a strategy, and by all means, I am not the end all know all trader of the world. I'm just a single guy. You may disagree with me, and that's fine. So if you're dollar bearish, then I don't hate you, but it is what it is. Today was a good day for the dollar bulls. We'll see if they can hold it, or if it wants to break out here. But big thing I would say with the dollar here is, watch to see if it can break this level. If it makes its way above this level, I think you've got free reign up to fresh highs, which is a big deal for dollar bulls, because this opens us up a lot to new levels of resistance, to yearly highs, and to highs that we haven't seen for a significant amount of time here. Not since, we're trading at levels that we were trading in early 2021, and we may be even headed to the high of 2021, which was back in March. So, it's very possible it could be. That's sort of been my target here for a minute on the dollar, was a retest of the high of 2021 at 93.4. So I think that we are likely to get there. Can I be wrong? Yes. Am I always right? No. I always have to say it on my stream because I want the new traders out there not to, mistake me as some sort of crystal ball guru kind of person. That's not who I am. I can be wrong. And so these are my thoughts and my opinions in these streams. But let's go jump on to some of the individual currency pairs. We will start with Euro USD. This one launched to the downside. So it fell through the floor here a little bit at resistance. The one that we actually kept talking about, that level did end up holding. So congrats if you did catch some of that sell side on the euro dollar. Beautiful, beautiful sell trend setup. Beautiful little, pullback here to resistance, and then found sellers in the region, now pushing back down to the lows of the move. And to me, this thing is headed to 1.172. As you know, I am dollar bullish, so I would imagine that the euro dollar would go down. Again, that is based on my technical and fundamental analysis of the US dollar crosses. So I do think that the euro has potential to come lower. Something like this, right? Breakouts, retests, and continuations down to this level would be trade setups that I like a lot for, especially if you're shorter term, right? If you're just looking for little moves, that's not little even. That's still a good 75 pips there if we were to head down to this level. Now, what is the significance of 1.172/1.17? Well, if we scroll out long enough, check it out right here. You've got levels coming into play right around here at 1.17. Price came all the way down. The euro traded all the way lower down to that point, and then found support like a monster down at that level. So I would say that price probably, with all this renewed sell pressure, a natural place for the price to go would be a retest on down to 1.17 to see, and markets do this. Markets, they will, market participants more specifically. The markets are just a medium, but the traders, the investors, they will likely push prices down to 1.7 in my opinion, because this is a big significant V spot on the higher time frames. And so what that means is that traders are like, hey, is that still a ginormous level of support? Because all the buyers are probably waiting around for it. They're like, I'm not touching this. This thing is in a sell trend. It's going lower. It's really, really strong to the downside. So maybe there could be some buyers that step up to play down here at 1.17, but it does seem like for the time being that sellers are in complete control of the euro dollar. And, I would expect that to continue until further notice. You're talking about lower highs again and again on this market. You were talking about strength on the dollar across the board. So that's my thoughts on the euro dollar. So if we look a little lower time frame here with the 1 hour chart off of the basis of this news, watch for this event here. Let's say we get another red candle here. If you see something like this, I think that there could be some good risk reward looking for setups like this. As always, those are just my thoughts and opinions. They're not financial advice or me telling you to go take those trades. I have to say that because I say it every time I can, because there are new traders that are wandering onto YouTube for the first time, typing in how to trade Forex, stuff like that. And I don't want people to get this illusion of like a trader knows everything that's going on in the markets. So I'm always a little bit cautious about that. So please be careful if you're out there trading. Know that there is a lot of risk in this stuff and that you can get in a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing. So please trade demo accounts. Please watch my content for free. Don't go buy $1,000 course and get burned. There's a lot of basic tips that you can hopefully get off of my channel that hopefully set you up for if not success in your trading, at least cut some of the mistakes out that so many people make. So just my thoughts there. So the euro dollar, I do like this setup. Like I said, a breakdown to the downside. If you see that breakout, could be a significant little retest and sell entry there to the downside off of this level here at 1.179. So I would watch that pretty closely personally. In fact, I will be watching it. I'm not going to take any more dollar trades because right now I do have dollar yen long. So this is the trade that's making the money for me today. So we'll see if this one can continue. Would love to see this thing tap up to 110.8, which is my shorter term target on this. And then my longer term target was that 111.6 and even further at 112. So those are my longer term targets with the dollar yen. We did break out of this downward trend line. We found support along the way. I ended up getting long on a retest somewhere and then have been holding on to it since. Let me just pull this up just so you can see what it looks like. So here's my here's the trade that I took on. Let me pull it down here. So I took a long trade on dollar yen. So there it is. So dollar yen, fundamentally, I remain bullish on the USD until further notice while remaining bearish on the yen. This is mostly due to the Fed's hawkish outlook recently revealed, discussing tapering and raising rates twice before the end of 2023. So this was a few days ago. So this was before this big spike that we're seeing on the dollar yen today. Technical reasoning, I liked the fact that we were sort of holding the lows here. We found a support level, sort of an ugly inverted head and shoulders pattern, and then nice little buying the dips each time. So I ended up taking a dip by myself. And since then, things have been sort of a rocket ship for the dollar yen. So that's where I'm at with the dollar yen. If you're not already in the Discord, by the way, there's a link down below in the description. If you'd like to join us, it's the first link in the description. You can find out information on our website. Just click there and it will take you to our website where you can sign up. There's a discount code as well, by the way, if you're interested. It is down there in the description. You just find information on that and it should get you set up for success there. So where do we see the dollar yen going? Well, for me, like I said, I think a short-term target for this thing could be maybe even by the end of the week up to 110.8. And then longer term, the question is, can we make a stab at 111.6? So, in the meantime, I don't find there's no trades here for me. Like I said, the trade that I took is already played out. Like I already got in long back here, right? So the trade entry for me is already done. So there's no entries for dollar yen. For me now, it's holding on to a winner and trying to see if I can let this thing run. If it doesn't run, then it's all good too. I'll just look to break even. Obviously, I would prefer to let a trade become a nice big winner. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to lose a bunch of money either, right? So I'm just going to take a small break even win or something like that. Small wins or break even. But from that standpoint, I like the dollar yen, like I said, for more upside. And so another setup that I would be interested in maybe looking at again on the dollar yen would be if we can break that 110.8, I'd love to buy it on a retest, right? And that's sort of my next major spot for interest on the dollar yen is, can we get up to 110.8? Can we break it? And if so, maybe I'll even look to add to my position. I'm not afraid to do that. I've done that in the past. So definitely plan on doing that. Oh, thank you very much, Shinobi, for the $2.99. Much respect, holding USD JPY through CPI. Thank you very much for the donation. It does mean a lot to me. It's not something that you have to do or you're required to do by any means, but when you guys do donate, it does help to support the stream that we do here. It is obviously free for you guys. So hope you're enjoying. If you're new here, smash that like button down below, subscribe so you can come back and hang out in the future. I pretty much cover everything that I can in the Forex market since I am trading it myself. I figure it's pretty easy to just put out videos and record my thoughts. It also helps me. And of course, we sort of have a little business around it as well. So thank you very much, Shinobi, for the $2.99. Much respect for holding dollar yen through CPI. Yeah, I mean, every time big news comes out, I'm a little bit like, this is a little scary. But truthfully, I usually hold my positions through news due to the fact that I'm a swing trader, right? So if I was to close out every time that news was around the corner, I would never be able to hold trades, since as a swing trader, you inherently sort of have to hold on to your positions for a while, and news is sort of always occurring in the Forex market. So that's what I'm looking at with the dollar yen. I do like, where I'm at with it. I'm holding on to it to see if it can continue higher. If it does continue higher, like I said, maybe even looking for a re-entry should we start to see breakouts and continuations. And if we do start to head towards my target, of course, I will look to continue to trail stops, and any updates that I do make, I will share inside of our Discord there for those of you guys who are members with me in the Discord. So next one is going to be pound dollar here. We'll take a look at GBP USD and talk about this one. So check this out. So the pound dollar been struggling, especially today with that big fat bullishness from the dollar. I would really, just before we jump into pound dollar, let's go over to the website. I want to see a couple things here. Let's go look at the currency heat map first, just to see what everything looks like across the board. So you can see the dollar is king today, beating everything out. You've got beating the euro, beating the yen, beating the pound, Swiss, Aussie, CAD, and New Zealand. So a lot of bullishness across the board on the US dollar. So congrats to my fellow dollar bulls. Things like the Aussie taking a beating today, the CAD not looking so good, and NZD also struggling a little bit. JPY also sort of strengthening, probably off of the back of this, because JPY and USD are both sort of considered. JPY is definitely considered sort of a safe haven risk off currency, but the dollar is sort of truthfully, it's like confusing because it's kind of like both. It's a place where investors buy it in times of fear, and also sometimes in times of optimism and growth. So kind of a weird one. But with that said, we'll jump back over to pound dollar. I just wanted to see what that looked like on the currency heat map. Today, the pound dollar is really taking a beating. For the pound dollar bulls, question will be, can this thing hold this retest of the trend line? I mentioned the other day that, I do like the pound. I'm not super bearish on it. However, I'm sort of waiting to see confirmation from the Bank of England, to see something that tells us, hey, the Bank of England is still looking to go about their merry way and taper and look to potentially even raise rates. But the last time we really heard from them, their big stance was, hey, we don't want to raise rates anytime soon. We're trying to keep them low. And that's the whole idea behind different currencies or different central banks. If they're looking to raise rates, it's generally viewed as positive and optimistic for a currency. And then if they're looking to hold or even lower rates, that's sort of considered stagnant or slow, which probably is what prompted the pound dollar to really give back some of its recent gains here in 2021. So as we pull back, is it time to buy the pound dollar? I mean, I can't justify it personally. With my style of trading, I've got to see higher lows. I've got to see some more strength on the daily chart. Right now, we're just chopping around and holding down at a level of support. If we find more support, maybe there's opportunities. But for the most part, looking at this thing with just a neutral stance for me personally. Demario, thank you very much for the $4.99. Says keep up the good work, my boy. Thank you very much, Demario. It does mean a lot. Like I said, you guys don't have to donate, but when you do, it does mean a ton just to support the content that we do here on YouTube. So thank you very much, Demario, and our other one earlier from Shinobi. So thank you guys. Maybe you guys should wait to donate until I have like a really bad day in the markets. So then you can like help me recuperate my losses. Because trust me, they happen. It doesn't matter who you are. Like a lot of times people get this idea that when you become a quote unquote successful or consistent trader, that you never have days of pain anymore. And it's not true. The reality is that if you're a trader, and you guys out there, I'm sure you're nodding your head with me if you have been a trader for a while. It doesn't matter how long you trade. There's still always going to be situations where you're dealing with struggle, where you're like, I'm going to draw down. Everything I touch doesn't seem to want to work. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that soon. Maybe we'll after some analysis, we'll come back to that topic. But again, Demario, thank you very much for the $4.99. It does mean a lot to me. Let's check it out. We do have to talk about gold. So let's pull it up. We'll talk about XAU USD. So here is question of the day. Question of the day to you guys. Are you bullish or are you bearish on gold? Drop your comments down below in the chat right now. Or I guess what is it over here for you guys? If you're on the computer, it's down below. If you're on your phone, let me know. Are you bullish or bearish on gold? Are you guys watching from a phone or a computer? I'm curious. I feel like most people probably watch from their phone. I'm going to call someone out. I would imagine that you're watching it from your phone and you've got your computer pulled up looking at charts. Did I get you? That'd be crazy if I called you out, because I just know that's what I would do, like in college or whatever. I'd have like my phone next to my computer, so and like trading on one screen and listening to the stream on the other. So if I called you out, let me know. Tell me I'm a crystal ball owner. uh, gold is paying for me right now, watching from the phone. Yeah, it's seriously selling off. Tough day for the bulls on parade for gold. Is it over? You know, we'll see. That's where we're going to really try and figure this one out, because we're going to try and talk about gold here. I'm going to give you guys my honest opinion. Truthfully, I think that today's CPI numbers were really tough for gold. Like really, really. It's a confusing thing. So let me try and explain this, because I know that I mentioned it earlier on in the stream, but this concept was so confusing to me when you would get big news like this back when I would watch gold and I was a newer trader. I'd be like, why the heck did CPI, which is a measure of inflation, right? Inflation came out really big. Why the heck does gold go down? Because isn't gold like a hedge against inflation? Like that's the whole point of, or one of the big major catalysts for gold is like, if CPI is high, or if inflation is high, buy gold. Like that's the age old concept. So it's like, why the heck is gold going down? I'm gonna try and explain this as simply as I can. CPI going up means that the Fed is more likely to respond with their monetary policy, whether that mean tapering or rate hikes. So a high inflation figure, basically the Fed sees that and they're like, that's a concern. We'll look to try and adjust our monetary policy accordingly to try and fix this inflation, which means rate hikes, which means dollar strength, and dollar strength means gold weakness. Okay, so high inflation means that the Fed, let's do this. What we're going to do, I'm going to try and explain this for my friends that are just newer to this stuff. CPI high, Fed comes in here and says higher rates. Okay. So here's part two. So sorry, this is terrible handwriting. I'm doing it from a mouse. Apologies. So the Fed rates, this is just awful. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay. Fed raises. That's what we're going to say. Okay, so what do they raise? They raise interest rates. Interest rates being raised is what? Positive for the dollar. Remember that higher interest rates is usually an attractive thing to traders and investors. Finally, what's next? Higher dollar means gold bearish. Does that make sense to you guys? Was anybody else confused about that? Because like, oh my God, when I was a new trader, I was like, you're speaking Chinese to me, because my American brain can't handle that. Because like you're talking about CPI raise inflation. Doesn't that mean it's high inflation good for gold? But when you sort of put this middle ground in where you said, oh, the Fed is going to possibly raise rates or respond to this, that could be dollar positive. Hence, gold could be negative. Does that make sense to you guys? Let me know if that was helpful at all. Say yes or no in the chat. That would be really helpful. Martha says you called me out. I'm sorry if I was only projecting myself in college when I said that about having a phone next to the computer and trading on a computer. That was my situation in college. So I just thought it was funny. High inflation equals bad, but also Fed raise rates equals good for the currency. That's pretty much it. You guys to see some of the support and try to help each other. I love that. Thanks to you guys. Yeah, honestly, Dave, thank you very much for being here. And thanks to everybody in the chat. We've got such a cool community on here on YouTube. I really appreciate you guys just showing up. A lot of the same faces show up every day, and we do this stuff together. So it's cool to see. And I really do. I'm really thankful just to have an audience on YouTube in general. Hope that was helpful. Thank you guys for the feedback. Some of you guys are saying that was good. So Nick, you mean that the Fed responds to immediately when the news is released? Please push this. Okay, so Albin, here's the thing. No, the Fed doesn't respond immediately. They'll go have meetings and talk about this and then come out with it later, or that's the idea, but that's the whole rumor, right? This implies that the Fed is going to go think about it. The Fed thinking about it could result in, and is likely to result in, something that could push the dollar higher through tapering, through because they don't want inflation to be too high, right? So this is like a new problem arises that the Fed is going to deal with most likely, or they almost certainly will respond to it in some way or another, whether that is tapering, whether that is rate hikes, something that is dollar positive, which ultimately leads gold to potentially become weaker. Now, gold doesn't have to go falling through the floor. What you can actually see is that gold is sort of rebounding here while the dollar is still pretty strong overall right now. So gold is not, they're not a perfect correlation, but let's talk about some setups with gold here. I would say personally that if dollar positiveness continues, you could see a move here to the downside on gold that could last. You could see bigger pushes through the lows and continuations down. Now, that's not a guarantee. Just because the dollar is positive doesn't mean gold has to go down, but it is quite possibly a thing to watch for. Should the Fed come out with something in response to inflation, you could definitely see some aggressive selling on the gold market going forward. So if you see a catalyst like that, I would personally be like, gold is probably not something I'd want to buy. So that's my thought in reaction to this. If you also look on the 4-hour chart, we did end up holding this level, and we've been really aggressively holding this area as resistance. But sellers would probably want to see this thing actually follow through. Otherwise, it may truthfully come rolling right back through the highs there and push through that level of resistance. So I would say watch for news from the Fed. That's I think we have the Fed meeting on Wednesday, which is a big deal. Let me double check that with you guys here real quick. I'm going to go to Forex Factory and just pull up this week. So let's pull up this week. We'll take a look at this. So on Wednesday, we have Powell speaking at 12 p.m. Eastern. So that could be something that's market moving in response. Like I said, if they have something to say about inflation, that could be very positive for the dollar. And that's really where that's the follow through that buyers of the dollar would like to see. Most likely is you've got this good high inflation figure, which could prompt the Fed to do something. But then the question becomes, will the Fed actually go do something? That is really the situation that dollar bulls, including myself, are looking to see if it could happen on the dollar. So the dollar seems to be giving back a little bit here, pulling back just slightly there off of the highs for the day. We will see, again, like I said, for the dollar, the DXY here, to see if we can actually get a pullback that holds off of this level, or if we just consolidate a minute here before ultimately breaking out and going higher. Obviously, that scenario is better in my opinion, but it's not up to me. It's up to the market. So we'll see what happens there. We can take a look at something like pound yen here today. Might have had some reaction as well. Let's see, did it have a reaction? Seems like it did have a little bit of a sell-off just in response to that very bullish dollar situation. Remember that if the dollar gets really bullish, it's usually the rest of the currencies that sort of take a little bit of a dip, because the dollar is this ginormous sort of safe haven currency, or ginormous, reliable economy for many people to invest in. And if that is offering potentially higher yield in terms of if they hike rates, et cetera, then it's like, well, it's a little less enticing to go buy those riskier currencies like the pound, the Aussie, et cetera. So we'll see how that plays out here with the pound yen for today. What about Aussie dollar? Aussie dollar, I bet, took a real big haircut. There it is, coming in super bearish today, giving back almost all of its gains in the last week or two. That's a pretty insane drop there on the Aussie dollar. Again, finding resistance here at this zone here at 0.75. So roughly 0.75 got rejected really, really hard by sellers here on the Aussie. So again, very similar situation here for the Aussie to the euro and to the dollar index as well, right? We're at a key spot. It's a question of, can we get the breakout, the retest, and the continuation? Now this is flipped. We could do something kind of fancy and do USD AUD on TradingView and then flip it around. This is still the same chart, but just inverse, right? You've got this looks a lot like the dollar index itself, right? You've got resistance up here. Can we break out, and continuation plays come in? That's the whole question here with the dollar. I would say, that the entries are sort of behind us unless that we break out. If we were to break out, like I said, if the DXY breaks out, there may be more entries in my view on the dollar, something like this, right? So that's my thoughts for the most part with the DXY today. Again, inflation was a pretty big deal. The figures came out as a big overshoot from what was forecasted, which, as you know, has obviously from the chart today, has a lot of potential to really move the markets. And a lot of times people will say, well, like, which news events cause the most stir. But the truth is, the news events that cause the most stir are the ones that are the most surprising. And today's news was very surprising. Again, forecast at 0.5%. Then this came out at 0.9, which was much higher than expected, and obviously shot the price up there to the upside there with CPI. So with that said, you guys, I am probably going to wrap it up. Before I go, I do want to say if I take any trades or update my positions, I will be sharing them inside of the Discord. Like I said earlier, I took this dollar-yen trade. It's going very well, and my only plan right now is to manage that trade going forward. Should I trail stops or make any updates, you guys, for the members inside of the group already, keep an eye on this. I'll probably be making some updates there. I did make an announcement yesterday that I was planning on not moving my stops to break even, which I'm glad I did because it kept me in the trade for CPI. So I did purposely hold it into CPI just based on the Fed's hawkish outlook right now. It doesn't mean that CPI or the price action is going to be bullish every time news comes around, but I would say it gives a slight edge to think, hey, the news, I'm going to say very, very slight because news is very unpredictable. But the idea there with the Fed sort of having that hawkish outlook overall had me willing to sort of try and hold on to this before the news. And I'm glad I did because it seems like it really wants to keep going here. So we will see with the dollar if it can break through there. Like I said, if I take any updates or trades, you guys will see in the Discord. Thank you so much for being here today. Hope you enjoyed today's stream. And if you did, make sure to like down below, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you back next time.
I know you were expecting Nick, but my name's Julie and I do the real work around here. I wanted to take a second to thank you guys for watching the show and tell you more about some free content that we offer. One of the things that we offer is a free email newsletter. So if you click the link down below, you can sign up for free market analysis, trading tips, and exclusive offers. Every once in a while, someone here at A1 Trading takes a crazy trade and you'll be the first one to know about it. See you guys next time.